There's not a one of us in this chapel this morning who has grown as much as we can grow. If growth is defined as freer tomorrow than I am today, there is not a one of us who has achieved the freedom to live all the way, to be as joyful as we can possibly be. And there is not a one of us in this chapel this morning who is as free to love as we could be. For all of us, there are still so many blocks to our freedom to give the gift of ourselves without restraint and to receive the gift of another, to gift of another's own self and their own love. There's not a one of us who is as free to love as we could be. If we really want to grow, if we want to grow and change and evolve, we have to pay attention to that in us that still inhibits our freedom, that therefore keeps us from becoming more tomorrow than we are today. There's so many obstacles to that growing and changing and evolving. There's so many obstacles outside of us, cultural predispositions that we've taken on, that we've internalized, that keep us down and keep us too afraid. I'd have to speculate that there is no joy in all the world like being at the service of helping other human beings grow in their capacity to love and grow in their capacity to live. Those who become freer tomorrow than they are today. This never-ending process really, really does happen. But I have worked with and known, as I'm sure you have too, lots of people who refuse to grow. That makes us uncomfortable, they say. We're not ready to go there. My family never did that. And so because we're uncomfortable, for example, we say we're not able to grow. And it's not conscious all the time, but really, really and truly, we refuse to grow. So many people, including ourselves, are so busy blaming everybody else for our woes. It never even occurs to us that their trouble-filled life is largely their doing, or the attitude that they bring to what is happening to them. People like that can become so boring to be around. And when they ask to talk, I think most all of us would say yes, but probably only in the bare string of a hope that we could say something that might jar them free, jar them back into life and into love. Something that perhaps could help them see their sad lives or the patterns of destructive behavior or the recurring issues that are like a plague to them. And then all those breakups that keep happening over and over again in their dating life that they think are because of everybody else might actually be because they've never asked themselves the deeper question, what's wrong with me? What do I need to change? How do I need to evolve to make this work better, more likely to work? They sit next to us at work. We talk to them over the fence in our neighborhoods. We see their number come up on our cell phones, and we just kind of stiffen a bit because we find it so much easier to work with people and be with people who are trying to be better and who are trying to do better. We're not saying anybody ever has to be perfect, really, but we are saying that really, to engage each other, we have to be about changing and evolving and growing, becoming better human beings tomorrow than we are today. So few of us are willing to risk the deeper question so that that person we struggle with can become freer tomorrow than they are today. I was doing a floor program just a few weeks ago. It was getting on to midnight, and the students were asking lots of great questions. And one of their questions that just happened around the midnight hour set me off. But not in anger. The question set me off in passion. One of them asked, Father Gary, if you could wave a magic wand over the campus when it comes to dating, what would you wish for us? Well, being a priest, I said the first and obvious thing. Don't put the physical side of your relationship before the emotional. That makes more work for me. And I do believe that we should not put the physical side over the emotional. But, and this is where I got passionate, one of the things we could do, I really think, to make something like dating and all of our friendships and family lives, as a matter of fact, more fruitful for us, is that when it comes time to let go in a relationship, to move on, to say goodbye, it would be so helpful to this person we're moving on from to care enough about them still to want to help them be a better person because of our time together. To be a mirror, perhaps, that could hold up for them something of their choices or the way they think that is really off-putting, that in the end probably killed our affection, our romance for them. And if that's true, we should tell them, because people need to know that they're going to go into the next relationship doing the very same thing. Or they're going to lay around and obsess and obsess and obsess about what's wrong, what happened, how can I get him or her back? And that's not the right question. The right question is, how can I become a better man or a woman because of this? Instead of telling them lies and half-truths, because we don't want to get involved, or because we just don't want to hurt them, and we know if we are telling them the truth, it will sting probably. We end up telling them words like, well, I'm just not ready for a relationship yet, or something like that. And tell them whatever, perhaps, instead of telling them forever, perhaps, what we found troubling or off-putting, or so that they can work on something in their life, because we did invest something in that relationship for a while. And it's the least we could do, it seems to me, is to show them that we care enough to do that. Because that might give them a fighting chance at growing, changing, evolving themselves. And shouldn't we be at the service of that in each other's lives? Tell them with care, obviously, with love, not in a moment of anger or impatience because they disappointed us again, but something that'll give them a fighting chance at life and at love. People have a right, it seems to me, to see themselves as others see them, and to know somebody out there cares enough about them to do that for them. Yes, it will hurt them to hear. It would hurt any of us to hear that stuff. But who among us would not want to hear the truth that could set us free? Deep down inside, who among us would not want them to tell us something now that will hurt, but in love, so that I can grow? Who among us would not be willing to be hurt by someone today if it meant we had a better shot at love and at life tomorrow? That's the stuff of growth. And sadly, that magic wand doesn't exist. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. This is what it means to prepare the way of the Lord for ourselves and for each other. Clear the path to freedom. Help people become more free by taking the risk and giving them difficult, priceless feedback that could open the way to love and to life before them. Regarding the world, look around you, look around us in this world and discern what at Washington University or any of our schools or here in the city of St. Louis or any of our cities or nations or in the church locally or in the church universally is getting in the way, is blocking the way to human flourishing. And do something, say something. I know it's going to backfire sometimes. I was just visiting last week with a mom of one of our students, one of our undergrad students, and she was talking about how much she loves the church and values the church, but when they got a new pastor, the new guy came in and just took over total control of everything. He started to change everything in a month. And she just went up to him and said, "Father, I really think this is our parish, and it would be good for you to listen and ask good questions and not," she was very, very kind, not all of a sudden decide what you want or you think is the best. It's our parish. You guys come and go. It's our parish. He told her to leave. He said, "You can go to another parish." It backfired on her. But you know something? She did the right thing. And who knows, in God's plan, in God's majesty, maybe God can work with that someday, sometime for that pastor and help him to see that she had something to say he maybe could have heard. Look around you at the world and listen and discern. Let's level the hills. Let's fill in the valleys. Let's tear down anything that gets in people's way of becoming freer tomorrow than they are today. Who can grow if they live in poverty in this world? What are you doing about that if that's your passion? Who can grow in this world if they never, ever, ever had a dad and all of their friends never had a dad either? Who can grow in this world if they're only getting terrible education and are raised by raging alcoholics, or are treated to inadequate health care in this world? This is what it means to prepare the way of the Lord. Work to help fix the obstacles to human growth, to human flourishing. Those people deserve to have a shot at evolving and becoming free and changing. And regarding our families and our friends, look carefully at the people you love the most. Look carefully, let us full of care into their lives and into their hearts, the people you live with and love the most. Tell them what you see now that perhaps they are not even aware of, destructive patterns of life and love. Not because they disappointed you and made your life more uncomfortable that day and made it all about your need not being met, but because you are looking at them in 10 years and you want them to be happier. You want them to be more capable of life and love. That's going to be hard, but don't you want them to know? Don't you want them to know what they could work on now that would help them be happier tomorrow? Don't wait for the priest to tell them. That's what it means to prepare the way of the Lord. And regarding yourself, look around you at the interior landscape of your own soul. Pay attention to those things that are getting in the way of your joy, especially those fears, and any other perhaps psychological issue that keeps you bound up and therefore that keeps life from showing up for you. This is the vigilance and the awareness that Advent demands. Freedom doesn't happen for people or for ourselves without the work of paying attention to what's keeping us from it and then acting. This is what it means to prepare the way of the Lord. My best days, though sometimes not the most pleasant, are days when I can honestly say that for somebody else's sake, not for my own, but for somebody else's sake, I put my neck on the line for the sake of their freedom, to help them toward the fullness of life and love. Yes, sometimes it backfires, and sometimes they just get mad or defensive, but I do too sometimes. And that's part of it, you know? Bottom line, so what? So what? This stuff is worth it. And I can bear that anger if I am convinced that this is a really caring thing that I did today. But when it happens, oh my gosh, that is perfect joy for me. I know without a doubt that I love them, and that matters to me greatly. I'm always suspicious of my love, but in those moments I know I really love them. The way I look at it, anybody can affirm, few can challenge. I'm very good at affirming. I want to be better at challenging. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. We have so much to do that helps that to happen, to make a clear path for people to freedom. We have so much to do to clear that path for ourselves so that I too can grow, even as I spend my life, hopefully, helping other people grow. There's not a one of us in this chapel this morning, not a one of us, or in our dorm rooms, or at work, or in our families, or in the hierarchy of our church, that doesn't need to grow. We have all got some growing to do, starting with, as Michael Jackson put it so well, that man in the mirror. I just hope we want to. I hope we can honestly say that more than anything, we want to grow. And that we want other people to grow.